welcome back to the Pen and Ink World. Thanks for joining us again today. Right, in my last video I mentioned that I was going to do a bit of a shootout between two pen models that I've had for a little while now and had the pleasure of being able to write with and play around with. And they are fairly similar pens in as much as they're both blue, they're both demonstrators, they're both Japanese pens, and they both have 14 karat gold nibs on them. So I wanted to give you a clear sort of comparison between them and what my thoughts are on those two pens, and these are what I'm talking about. In the box at the moment, we've got in here Pilot Custom 74 with a fine nib. This one, as those of you that have watched me for a while, you know that I prefer fine to medium nibs, so you know pretty much all the time on every occasion. And then I've got the Sailor Pro Gear Slim, again with a fine nib in the blue demonstrator model as well. Both very classic pens, both very similar, yet some significant differences between them, as you'll see now. So not a review, just this is the difference between them. So I want to stop talking, we'll turn the camera around and join me in just 2 secs. Right, so we're looking at a comparison, a quick comparison between two pens that have some similarities and obviously then some differences, and I'm just going to go through and point those out. Just very quickly, the difference in how they arrive. This is the Pilot in here, and this is very obviously the Sailor in here. I'll take it out of their respective sleeves. So this Pilot is a much grander box than this Sailor. So what we've got here in the Sailor, typical Sailor box that we have most of the Sailors in, navy, gold writing, padded bottom. Move that out of the way. Pilot, very plush, so you can just see the Pilot shadow in there. And then this silver dot around it. Pilot on the inside, and then this sort of velvety, very plush, deep, cushioned box that I'm going to put away. So a much grander box on the Pilot, but we don't buy pens for the box. So here are the two pens that we are looking at today. The Pro Gear Slim here on my left, the Pilot Custom 74 on my right. Both of which have 14 karat gold fine nibs in them. So what is very clearly obvious is the difference in the size of them. This Pilot Pro Gear, this Sailor Pro Gear is 123mm like this. This is 143. So there's 20mm in the difference, or 2 centimetres for us here in the UK, in the length comparison there between them. Without them, 111mm of this one, 125mm with this, without the cap on. Posted a colossal difference of 144mm long in here. This becomes a very long pen if you post it at 161mm. Weight-wise, fairly similar, 20 grams here on the left, the Sailor, 23 grams for the Pilot Custom, then 13 grams without the cap, 16 on the Pilot. It's not a huge difference, but you do feel that difference. Oddly, you feel that that extra 3 grams is what it is really. So let's have a look at them sort of side by side to compare them with. This is a slightly deeper blue, the Sailor, than the Pilot. If it picks that up, but this is a deeper blue, and I prefer the blue of the Sailor than I do the Pilot. The other thing that I prefer on the Sailor is that the Pilot here has these black domed ends, has these black finials both sides, and then as we open them up, screw cap, it has a black smoke transparent grip section here with this one, and we open this one up and that demonstrator, that blue demonstrator, goes right the way through. But there you'll see the difference in the size. But however, if you bring it down and have a look at the section comparisons and the nibs are exactly the same size, well, pretty much. The Pilot's slightly broader, but the sections, there's only about 2mm in the difference in the length of those grip sections. And width wise, these pens are so I did write that down, I can't find it. Width wise, say these pens are pretty much identical Now that's why I didn't write how much, just because they are identical in their width. They're the same width to hold this pen with. But this one I use unposted. This one I have to post, even though it falls off at that point, but it doesn't usually. So then when it's posted, it gives a longer pen than that, but it's not uncomfortable at all. And then it's a very nice weight. So there's the difference as far as how those look. Right, nib wise, I think probably the best way to describe this and to demonstrate this is by actually writing with them both. So this is the Pilot Custom 74, and this is a fine nib. Now this is the Sailor Pro Gear Slim. Again, a fine nib. Exactly the same ink in this. This is KWZ Azure, so I wanted to give a real sort of balanced comparison, so I put the same ink in there for you to see the difference. There is a notable difference between the line width of the Pilot and the Pro Gear, despite the fact that they are both 14 karat gold fine nib pens. Sailor does produce a much finer line. The Pilot Custom 74 is a much wetter nib as well. It is a smoother nib to write with, I can't dispute that. It glides across the paper easier. There is no scratching, no feedback, no issues at all with the Sailor. There is a little bit of feedback. You feel as you're writing it, you feel the paper. But I think that was how it was sort of meant to be, because it is a hard, fine nib. So, for those of you that like a bit of feedback, and I do, I like to feel the pen. I don't like it to glide too quickly, because I feel as if I'm sort of not catching up with how I'm writing, if you know what I mean then as well. So they do write differently, and it really depends on how you like, whether you like that sort of wetter, slightly broader fine nib, or whether you prefer a harder nib. The main difference then between these two pens, if I can get that to balance there properly, the massive difference between these two pens is the price point of them. Both 14 karat gold nibs, both very similar materials, both have, actually the Sailor is a cartridge converter, as you can see here, where the Pilot is a cartridge converter as well, but it has this push button mechanism, so it feeds it up by sort of using the pressure. You push this quickly and it sucks the ink up. So there's the difference. But price wise, we're looking at sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Here in the UK, £185. Excuse me, everybody. £185 here for the Pilot, and £113 for the Sailor. So there's a whopping £70 difference in the price of these two pens, and that makes a difference. You can get them both cheaper if you order them off eBay or Amazon, but here in the UK that is the difference in the price. And for me, then, value for money, the Sailor Pro Gear is better as far as value for money. As far as quality is concerned, I cannot see any difference between them. As far as line width is concerned, the Pilot is probably at the moment a more pleasurable nib to write with, but I've had the Pilot 74 for a little longer, or a fair bit longer actually, a good 6 months, so I've written with it an awful lot more, and I do reach for it fairly often before I had this as well. So it's really up to you. This isn't for me to say which one I prefer. I like them both for different reasons. I'm very much going to sit on the fence on this one. Sorry if you wanted me to say one or the other definitively, but I can't. But just, so what you've been looking at, difference between the 74 and the Pro Gear Slim, I'll let you make your mind up. Any questions though, please let me know. Thank you very much for watching that video. I hope it was helpful to you and you're able to see the differences between those pens and what would work best for you. Obviously bearing in mind that there are different nibs available on both of those pens for you to be able to try out if the ones that I've shown you and the ones that I have here are not exactly the right one for you. So please like the video, obviously if you liked it. Leave a comment below, any questions you've got or anything you'd just like to let me know, then please leave a comment down below, and please subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate all of the support that you've given us. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye!